Hi, I'm Debra Rudd. Today I want to talk about why potential expatriates may not want to roll over a 401k. An expatriate refers to a U.S. citizen who gives up their U.S. citizenship, or a U.S. green card holder who gives up their green card after having the green card during 8 of the last 15 years. There's two types of expatriates, covered and non-covered expatriates. What I'm talking about today, only covered expatriates need to care about this. And you're a covered expatriate if you have a net worth over $2 million, or you have a 5-year average tax liability that's $206,000 or higher. For 2025, that number is indexed for inflation, so in future years it will be a higher number. Or if you didn't file tax returns or pay taxes for the 5 years before expatriation. If you fail on any one of these three criteria and you're an expatriate, then you'll be a covered expatriate and you'll be subject to exit tax. Normally, exit tax means pretending that you sold all your worldwide assets and paying tax on the gains. But for retirement accounts, there's some special rules. There's two types of classification for retirement accounts. They might be considered deferred compensation, or they might be considered specified tax deferred accounts. Deferred compensation is split into two categories, eligible or ineligible. For eligible deferred compensation, there's a pay-as-you-go withholding at 30% on distributions that take place after withholding. So it's not really an exit tax, more just an obligation to have this withholding done. If it's ineligible deferred compensation, then you're taxed as if you took a full lump sum distribution on the day before expatriation, even if you didn't. It's basically a pretend distribution. Specified tax deferred accounts are the same as ineligible deferred compensation. You're taxed as if you took a full lump sum distribution on the day before expatriation, even if you didn't. It's actually very easy if you have a U.S. retirement plan and it's classified as deferred compensation. It's very easy to make it eligible deferred compensation. All you have to do is provide a Form W-8CE to the administrator. If you didn't provide the Form W-8CE within 30 days of expatriation, or it's not a U.S. plan, then it's going to be ineligible deferred compensation. So let's look at the types of deferred compensation. There's a bunch of different things that qualify, but if you look at the second item on the left-hand side of the screen, you'll see 401k. So a 401k is a type of deferred compensation, and if you provide a W-8CE to the 401k administrator, it'll be eligible deferred compensation. Note that IRA accounts are not on this list. That's because they're a type of specified tax deferred account. It's the first thing on the list here. So that means that if you have a specified tax deferred account, or if you have an IRA, then you're going to be taxed on a pretend lump sum distribution if you're a covered expatriate. So if you're planning to expatriate, and before you expatriate, you roll over your 401k to an IRA, then you're converting from a good exit tax treatment to a bad exit tax treatment. The 401k would have gotten a pay-as-you-go withholding on actual distributions, and instead you roll it over and you expatriate and you're taxed on a pretend lump sum distribution, and there's nothing you can do about it because you don't have the same option for IRAs to file the W-8CE and make it eligible because it's not deferred compensation to begin with. So when you convert from 401k to IRA, you go from a better exit tax result to a worse exit tax result. And the real problem isn't so much that you have to pay the exit tax, although that's inconvenient. The problem is that ultimately it's double taxed. So first you have a pretend lump sum distribution at the time of expatriation and it's taxed then. You, of course, get your step up in basis for U.S. purposes on that account because you did pay tax. But it's a pretend event. There's no actual distribution, there's no income. So in the country of your residence, you don't have a tax event there. Later, when distributions are taken, they can be taxed in the country of your residence, but because you had that step up in basis when you paid the exit tax, there's going to be not very much U.S. tax to credit. So ultimately, you can end up paying tax twice on the IRA account. And that's ultimately why you really don't want to convert to a 401k to an IRA if you're planning to expatriate. There's a few different remedies you can think about. The first is don't expatriate, keep your US status, and you're not going to be subject to the bad exit tax results. You won't be subject to any exit tax results because you're not terminating your US status. The second option is to expatriate, but to make sure you're not a covered expatriate. If you're not covered, then you don't have exit tax and you don't have to deal with deemed distributions of your retirement accounts. That only applies to covered expatriates. Another option is if you do plan to expatriate, just leave your 401k. You don't have to roll it over. That way you don't have an IRA and you can file the W-8CE for your 401k and get the good tax results. And lastly, this isn't always available, but you can do what's called a reverse rollover, where you roll the IRA back into your 401k. This is typically only available if you have an active 401k plan that you're a participant in. So, bottom line, not always a good idea to roll over a 401k to an IRA. Especially if you have any risk of being a covered expatriate. Thanks for listening. Here's my contact information, and please feel free to reach out if you have any questions. Thanks. Bye.